yucca plant.
Right, it's from yucca. It's a natural, what you call it?
Surfactant.
No, I think surfactant, that's the word I was looking for.
And then on a long-term basis, it has bacteria. And so the bacteria starts this complex process of building life. And we hope you'll follow up, penetrate with Maximize, because this has the higher life forms.
Right.
This has the lowest form of life in soil, which is bacteria, about 16 different strains.
Wow.
And so it softens soil immediately, and it begins this process of building complex life.
And some other
And then
things.
Optimize, or Soil Optimizer, was our first product, and that's like concentrated organic matter mixed with 2 sources of calcium and some iron. And that does what a good quality organic matter does in soil, which is mainly 3 things.
It creates humic acid.
It has humic acid in it.
Well, I mean, when the water hits it, the humus turns
Here's
to
my
humic
version
acid,
of the 3 things.
Okay,
Your
you tell me.
version might be different. First of all, it coats all the soil particles. If they're clay soil particles, it coats them and allows better exchange of air and water. And if they're sand, it allows better moisture retention. It's food for microbes, mostly fungi. And what's the third?
Doesn't it chelate microorganisms?
Exactly.
I mean, micronutrients?
Minerals, yeah. That's exactly
So
the
it
third
invigorates
one. It chelates
microorganisms.
minerals,
Chelates minerals
that bacteria like to eat, and it does that right around the root zone of the plants. And chelates means collects.
Right.
Kind of.
Chelate is, if you chelate a mineral, it makes it more available to the life that's in the soil.
And a lot of times that's a
Including
problem.
plants.
A lot
Right.
of
In
a
our
lot of
soils.
nutrients are locked up.
Right, exactly.
And so what
They're there.
any good quality organic matter will do, and this is a good quality organic matter, is
chelate them.
is chelate them and make them available to bacteria. And then when bacteria start eating them, all of these other
All the other
products
things happen.
kick in. Yeah.
It's like it's a web, though. You know, I don't want people to think this is linear. It's not linear. You do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't work like that. You do 1, you get 2 and 6, and those happen, and then it just creates a huge web. Now, we're going to stop talking about this because we've got some questions, and I want you to see if you can help answer these questions.
Okay. Well, I
We're
would
gonna
probably
have a little
answer them a little differently than you, but let's see.
You never know. All right. We'll see. Let me see. Here we go. It's on the screen. Ryan wants to know, he's got a few sequoia trees in his yard, and he's interested in hanging a hammock, maybe putting in I think on my little sheet here he was talking about a tree house, and he wants to know if it's possible. They're 20 years old. Is it risky for the health? I would say is that it is, if you use the right apparatus, it's probably okay to put your hammock up in the tree. They have special attachments for trees now that like if you go on the International Society of Arboriculture website or any of the companies that make high-end arboricultural supplies, you'll find these really great attachments that they use when they cable trees. Now instead of drilling a hole through the tree, they have this great nylon thing that kind of stretches and it doesn't constrain the trunk of the tree. So as the tree grows and moves, it expands and moves, and it doesn't cause a problem. You could put a hammock on those for sure. A little pricey compared to just putting a cable around the tree, but also not going to damage the tree. If you do decide you're going to put some kind of rope or cable around the tree, you must make sure it's temporary. So you can put it on there, and you can leave it on for a month, and then take it off and move it up 10 inches or whatever, move it down 10 inches, move it around. You're not going to really damage the tree in the long run if you stay disciplined on moving it. Otherwise, you're going to hurt the tree, and you will really hurt it, especially if you forget about it and leave it on. You agree?
I agree.
Okay, good. And you know, tree houses, you start putting tree house in, you're going to have to nail into the tree. Maybe you could build a house from the ground up on some kind of stilts or a big stilt up the middle or something and place it in the trees. That would be maybe a little better for the tree. Let's see if we have another question here we can answer.
Okay.
All right. There we go. Put a small Oklahoma redbud tree in last year, cut off 2 branches and sealed, and notice the undersides of the leaves has something on them. Looks like brown stuff. What is it and what can I do? Well, without the picture that I'm asking you guys to send in, I can't be sure what that is. Sounds to me like you either have scale, and there's a brown soft scale that gets on, looks like a little round, kind of a shell almost, that gets on the bottom close to the veins. If that's what it sounds like or what it looks like, that is brown, some sort of brown scale. That's an insect. Or it could just be sometimes on the backs of leaves, if they've been maybe wind beaten or sunburned a little, or something like that, they'll kind of respond by growing almost like a scab, and it'll be kind of a brown color. It's probably the scale, which is a nasty insect. And John would tell you, if you treat the soil and you make it, you really get it healthy, it's going to help that tree defend itself from the scale. Also, you can just physically, if you don't have too much of it, just squish it off of there and get rid of it. And you could use some kind of a low toxicity insecticide, something temporary that isn't going to hurt the biosphere,
right.
The rhizosphere, the soil, like you know, some of the eco-exempt products and stuff like that.
Right.
You literally could eat them if you wanted to, but you got to make sure it's eco-exempt, you know.
So
don't try that.
You're right. The first step I would say would be to make sure the soil has complex life in it, and you might have prevented that problem. But a lot of times, even if you're doing everything right, you might get a problem like that. And what we would encourage you to do is a solution that will not only solve that problem, but continue to build the soil.
Right.
And one that, although it's not on the label, I probably shouldn't be saying this, I've sprayed beneficial bacteria on scale, and it works very well.
Right.
And
drives them crazy. They leave town.
Yeah, they do. And then I've heard you talk about botanical oils. We're actually coming out with a product that is a mix of botanical oils. And so you build the soil, you use some kind of botanical oils that not only will get rid of that scale, but will improve the soil at the same time, rather than a product that will damage the soil.
Even a humic acid product sprayed directly on the leaves can help you fight off fungi and insects. And we're out of time, John. Thank you very much for.
Hey, thank you.
It was awesome
I enjoyed
to have all that information packed into 1/2 hour. You got a real deal tonight.
And it's quiet. Only trouble was I had to buy it, and I'll do anything I got to do. Cut my hair and shine my shoes and keep on singing the blues if I can stay.